All right, things you should know this week. This is your weekly reminder. All the good stuff is on the back of your bulletin. And if you want a monthly printed calendar, they're out at the welcome desk. So please feel free to take those. And let's see, a reminder to silence all your electronics as we get ready to begin the service. This service and all Sunday services are live streamed. The postcard writing pizza party is today at 11:30, as far as I know. Yes?
Yes.
All right. It's at 11:30, Waters Hall, if you signed up. If you didn't sign up, see Anna Dralios. Anna, raise a hand if you're out here. She's out here. She's probably over there fixing up the pizza party. March 4th is a Justice Social. It's at Hotel Venezia, 4:30 to 6 p.m. They're a lot of fun. They're worth going to. Go and meet some other fun liberal people. Join us this Saturday for a special celebration of our newly refurbished library. Cathay, are you in here? That is Cathay right there. She is our librarian. She has been instrumental in making our library functional. And we are so excited, but we are going to gather in Waters Hall at 2 p.m. Saturday the 28th. We're going to do a ribbon cutting, and we're going to honor the 14 authors who are going to be with us, or in Miss Grace's case, we're going to have her poster board with us. Come meet the authors, browse the book, see what we got, and help us celebrate this wonderful addition to our church community. And she swears that as an added bonus, delicious snacks will be served. So I hope we get to see you there. Today at 11:30, and as you can tell, I have my hearing aids back in, so everything sounds really loud. I have to keep stopping and going, wow. Today at 11:30, right after the service here in the sanctuary, we're going to hold a shareholder meeting for you, the owners of UCOV, to review how we're doing financially, share your views on what you want to see here at UCOV in the next few years. If you have any questions, see John Spitzer, Marcia Smith, or Barb Gundy. Would you guys raise your hands? There's Marcia and Barb and John. But please come to that. This announcement about the upcoming Save Democracy for All conference is really personal to me, because I've been preaching about it and talking about it and writing about it, and I may have done a dissertation on it. We have Catherine Stewart coming as our keynote speaker to address how Christian nationalism is undermining religious freedom and democracy. That's the real icing on the cake of this one, to get a speaker of that magnitude. And as you may know, I will be co-facilitating a workshop that day on separation of church and state. So join me in coming, join me in donating to Save Democracy for All to the conference. It is at the Venice Community Center on March 28th, and I applaud the Alliance's board for their decision to offer the conference at no charge, but that means we've got to raise the donations to make sure that everybody can come to this. So if you have a little, please give a little. You can donate through Faithify or through the website of the Social Justice Alliance of the Florida Suncoast. If you have any questions, you can see John Van Camp. I've seen you in here, John. John in the back there. Or Anna Dralios. And I believe I have two more things. Where is Steve Leapley? Mr. Leapley, come on up.
I always feel when I'm sitting up front that I'm at the principal's office. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I have one announcement, and actually I think I'm going to get followed by Wayne, but I want to thank everybody that had anything to do with the auction, especially Wayne and his team, everybody that helped pick up, put down, all the stuff. I am about to change my address to 1971 Pinebrook. I'm here so much. But anyway, by the way, I'm shortly retiring from president at the end of March, but I'm really honored to be able to do this announcement right now. And don't worry, I'm not asking for money, and I'm not asking for help right now. Next time, yes. All right, we have a couple here that have been so much use, and they've done everything you could possibly do for this church over many years. And I'm really honored because they're dear friends of mine. So right here, I have a wonderful award, and it reads Lifetime Achievement Award for Linda Underwood and Bill Dowling. And by the way, they have to come up because we got to get a picture. No hiding. So where are they?
You want us up front so we're...
Yes,
You're in it.
Get enough pictures here?
Got the tears? I am going to say something. This is obviously unplanned because we had no idea this was going to happen, but you know that we love you all. And we hope to see you again. I know our role is changing, but roles have to change as we age. But this is a very special congregation. And please be grateful for it while you have it, because you won't find it anyplace else. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. So Friday night, this place was rocking and a-rolling. We had 110 attendees who ate a lot of good food and did a lot of bidding. You probably want to know how much we made, and I don't know. I believe it will be better than last year where we netted $12,000. Hopefully by next week we'll have the final numbers in, and I will tell you what the number is then. But as Steve already said, lots of people are involved, so I'd ask the folks who volunteered their time, whether you're on the committee or just helping during the evening of the event, please stand up. Don't be shy. Come on. There are more of you. Come on. So it really was a team effort. We would not have done as well without the people standing up and those that were too shy to stand up. If you purchased something on Friday night and haven't collected it and paid for it, know that in the lanai on that end, you can do that. There were some items that were not sold. Those are out on the patio, so come make an offer for anything that you see there. And thanks again. Great job.
Yes.
We light this chalice in the spirit of curiosity and care. For the questions that come roaring back to us whenever we learn how to do something new. For the wisdom to ask not only can we, but should we? And for whom? May our wonder be brave, our ethics be steady, and our love for this living world guide every choice we make. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome. We're so glad you're here at UCOV, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Venice, Congregation of Venice, where you are loved as you are, where questions are holy, and where occasionally our sermon illustrations involve dinosaurs. Today's service is called Jurassic Park and the Ethics of Cloning, which means two things right away. First, if you came hoping for a nice, quiet morning about kindness and community, good news. That's still happening. We just might do it while imagining a velociraptor in the sound booth. Second, if you have strong feelings about science, ethics, or the phrase, life finds a way, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to explore a real branch of scientific inquiry, cloning, and the very real questions that come with it. Not just, is it possible, but is it wise? Is it legal? Is it ethical? And also, in the spirit of Jurassic Park, who thought this was a good idea and where is the emergency shutoff? So take a breath, settle in, and know you don't have to have a PhD in genetics to belong here. You just need a curious mind, a good heart, and a willingness to laugh a little while we wrestle with big questions. Welcome to worship. May love surround you, and may all of our moral compasses remain fully operational.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you here, especially those of you who are probably exhausted after cleaning up after the auction. Thank you for taking the time and having the love to be here in community. It is really good to be together, safe and warm and blessedly free of electrified fences and security badges, and the particular corporate optimism that says, don't worry, we've got it under control, right before something with big teeth proves otherwise. Now, I'll be referencing Jurassic Park today. For those of you who've missed the movie, do go see the original one. It's really a fun popcorn movie. Or pick up the book by Michael Crichton. It's a good read. The story in a nutshell is about a company that clones and de-extincts dinosaurs and attempts to put them in a Disney-style park where they've spared no expense to bring the dino experience to life, and of course it goes terribly wrong. And today's service, the sermon title sounds like either a ride at Universal or one of my sermons. And if you're thinking, wait, are we really going to talk about cloning in church? The answer is yes, because we've always been the sort of people who bring our whole lives into the sanctuary. Our grief and our gratitude and our questions, and occasionally our pop culture helps us to do that. At its base level, Jurassic Park isn't really about dinosaurs. It's about human greed, human overreach, human hubris dressed up as brilliance. It's what happens when because we can replaces because it's a good idea. It's about the moment when wonder is severed from wisdom and nature hands us a very strongly worded response. But underneath the humor and the thrilling soundtrack of our imaginations, there is a serious question waiting for us, and it's the kind of question religious communities have always asked. If we can create life, then what? Not simply in the biological sense, not what do we intend to do with our fanged little wonder that we just produced, but in the deeper sense. If human hands bring forth a living being from the moment of creation at our will, does that being carry something sacred? Does it possess what many traditions would call a soul? A spirit, a divine spark of some kind? Because if the answer is yes or even maybe, then the ethical conversation changes. We are not discussing products or projects here. We're discussing living beings and responsibility and kinship. We're discussing the moral weight of creation. And here's where I think we have something important to offer as a faith. We don't have to solve the mystery of the soul in order to treat life as sacred. We can begin with reverence and humility, with grounded truths that matter when the life is present and breathing and sensing and longing and learning and relating. It deserves care. So today we'll laugh a little and wonder a lot. Maybe ask some hard question and keep returning to love, because love is what makes ethics more than rules. Love is what makes morality more than an argument. And love is what keeps cleverness from turning cruel. May our worship today be spacious enough for science and spirit and humor and holy awe. And may we leave with a deeper commitment to this living world where life and all its forms still finds a way, and where we with intention follow a better way than the progress for the sake of progress. Come, let us worship here together. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, number 347, Gather the Spirit.
Witness to mystery.
This is a time in our service when we do our offering, and every week we do it with a joke because giving should not be painful. A new UU minister had had a terrible week with his huge and disconnected UU church, and nothing was going right. People were doing the exact opposite of what he demanded. The staff were hiding in the closet. The board were sending one-word emails, and finally on Sunday, the worship associate forgot to come. And then the usher dropped the empty offering plates with a clang as he sat back down in the middle of meditation, and the minister lost it. If there are any idiots in this room willing to admit they are idiots, would they please stand up, screamed the righteous minister. And after a long silence, the board president rose to his feet and he stood. And the still furious minister said, "Well, mister, why do you consider yourself an idiot?" The board president sighed. He said, "Actually, I don't. I just hate to see you standing up there all by yourself." In joyous thanks that we all sit together, the morning offering will now be given and received gratefully. Thank you again for not just these gifts, but for everything you do for this community. Because it's as a community of human hearts and human hands that we come here and we struggle together with life's sorrows and we celebrate together when we find life's joys. So if you have something you'd like to share this week, please raise a hand, and Tony or Tom will bring you a microphone. If you're new, please feel free to share. We ask that everyone keep it under 1 minute, please.
I was in a church years ago for insurance purposes, and they had signs all over the walls that said, "You may not preach unless you have been approved by the office."
Good morning. I just want to celebrate the community that we have here, and especially all the new members that I'm seeing coming in of all ages, which is just a delight. So that's my joy.
Good morning, I'm Kim McHugh, and as I look around the room, I see a lot of faces that have come down here from up north, and I'm sure we're keeping all of our family and friends in our thoughts and prayers with this horrible big storm coming in up north.
Hi, my name is Patty White, and I'm a new member here. even though I forgot my badge today. I just wanted to tell you that my daughter is visiting from Buffalo, and I wanted to welcome her here.
I just want to say thank you for having me here, and God bless all my family and friends. Amen.
Hi, I'd like to introduce my sister, Joanna Laurie, and my grandnephew, Tristan Laurie, from Keene, New Hampshire.
I'm Bob Place. This is my wife, Mary. We are from Atlanta, and we actually were not members, but participated with this congregation for 10 winters during the 20s. And then COVID came, and then 2 grandchildren came, who are on my shirt, if you want to look at it. And they're in Atlanta, so we're spending time there. I was a chemistry professor at a university for 40 years, and very concerned about global warming, the removal of carbon dioxide, not just this stopping of emission. And my wife was head of a 32-member hospital social work department when she was in her career.
May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern. May the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May those who are grieving be comforted, and those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed, and may those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant.
Our first reading this morning comes from Theological Reflections on Cloning, Personhood and Reproduction by Dr. Alexander Lozano, written June 17th, 2021. In 1966, in a remarkable example of pre-science, the Nobel laureate Joshua Lederberg wrote an essay on cloning that described exactly the same technique actually used in Scotland to clone the first sheep in 1996. Theological responses were instantaneous. Dr. Lozano writes, 2 Protestant theologians, Paul Ramsey and Joseph Fletcher, were particularly vocal in their response to the idea of fabricated man. Both Fletcher and Ramsey commented primarily on the issues of human agency and freedom, the relationship of man to nature, and the proper role of parenthood. In the end, however, they disagreed on whether cloning was morally permissible, based primarily on the issue of embodiment and personhood. Fletcher argued that the person is something different from the body. In his view, the body did not count for much. It was an object to be mastered and manipulated for the sake of personal choices. His approach was also utilitarian, arguing that cloning was moral if it represented the, quote, greatest good for the greatest number, unquote, or maximized happiness. In fact, Fletcher was so supportive of cloning that he favored the biodesigning of parahumans or modified men as chimeras, part animal, or cyborg androids, part prosthesis. Needless to say, such views, particularly from a theologian, injected a degree of science fiction hysteria into the cloning debate that persists until the present day. Ramsey, on the other hand, rejected the notion of a body-person dualism. He held to the homomorphic theory of Aquinas and insisted that the person is, quote, an embodied soul or an ensouled body, unquote. In regarding the sexual person as the body of his soul as well as the soul of his body, he refused to reduce procreation to a technical accomplishment. He further rejected technologies that both expressed a dualistic account of our relation with our bodies and that diminished or distorted what it means to be a parent. Ramsay worried that technological reproduction, and especially cloning, would tempt us to view a child as a human achievement rather than as a gift of God. Ultimately, for these reasons, among others, he rejected cloning as morally impermissible. In 1971, Leon R. Cass, again well ahead of his time, describes the same cloning technique and goes on to present a detailed ethical analysis on cloning. In drawing from the writings of Ramsay, he expresses his concerns primarily in the areas of personal identity and individuality. The cloned person may experience serious concerns about his identity, distinctiveness, because he is an identical duplicate of another human being. Cass argues that each person has a right not to be deliberately denied a unique genotype. He sees this as being central to the idea of the dignity and worth of each human being. Our meditation is from On Cloning by M. Marshall. If I were cloned, which would I be? I, myself, yours truly, or me? Could my clone be me and I'd be she, our beings used interchangeably? Would my thoughts be shared by my clone? Would I never think on my own? If my clone and I were placed on a shelf, would that mean I was beside myself? If we all had clones, could we find there could never be one of a kind? What if my need to be alone? Is there no privacy with a clone? If I were cloned like peas in a pod, would this confound and upset God? My ego is such I want to be free from ever knowing there's another like me. With these words in mind, please join me in a moment of silent thought, meditation, or prayer. The second reading is taken from Ethics of Human Cloning, A Brave New Frontier by Richard Adams, Department of Genetic Ethics, Stanford Center for Medical Ethics, USA. One of the most profound ethical concerns surrounding human cloning is the issue of identity. Cloning results in the creation of a genetically identical individual. But this individual would not have the same life experiences, personality, or memories as the original person. The question arises, can a cloned individual be considered a unique person, or would they always be seen as a mere copy? This concern extends to the psychological well-being of cloned individuals. Would they be able to lead fulfilling, independent lives? Or would they be reviewed as a replacement for someone else? Perhaps even being burdened with unrealistically high expectations. The potential for exploitation, where clones may be used as spare parts for organ harvesting, or as a means of perpetuating the genetic material of a specific individual, further complicates the ethical landscape. Cloning presents a direct challenge to our understanding of human rights and autonomy. If reproductive cloning were ever to become a reality, there is the danger that individuals could be created or used without their consent. For instance, individuals could be cloned for the purpose of serving as organ donors or to fulfill specific roles dictated by others. This raises profound ethical questions about the autonomy of the cloned individual and whether they would be entitled to the same rights as any other human being. With those sobering thoughts in mind, please rise as you are willing or able to sing our centering hymn, number 298, Wake Now My Senses, verses 1, 2, and 4.
Jurassic Park, a sermon 6 million years in the making. Somehow I feel like I need Jeff Goldblum to do an intro to this service. Today we're talking about cloning, which is a sentence that if you had said it while I was in seminary, I would have assumed meant they're about to kill me and make a spare. Honestly, I could use a few spare body parts right about now. But no, we're not going to terminate or copy the minister or imitate Dr. Frankenstein. We're framing this conversation with the cautionary tale of Jurassic Park, a story that begins with scientific brilliance, adds a dash of corporate ego, sprinkles in a dramatic underestimation of chaos, and ends with people realizing that spared no expense did not, in fact, include purchasing any humility. As a you might say, they did not put the seventh principle in the mission statement. So I want to talk first in plain language about the basic types of cloning. Now, for any of you who are genetic engineers or cloning specialists, I'm so sorry. I want to talk about why cloning is a moral and potentially spiritual problem. And I want to talk about why cloning other species requires unbelievable care in our decision to do that. So let's start with the basics. When most people say cloning, one, they don't know what they're talking about. They mean, oh yeah, we're going to copy a thing. That's too simple. They mean either reproductive cloning or therapeutic cloning. There is also gene cloning, which is very common in research, but that's not a new person animal kind of thing. So we're just going to deal with the other two. Reproductive cloning is designed to produce a whole new animal, a whole new critter. Hypothetically, a whole new human could be produced that way. Whatever is produced, the clone has the same nuclear DNA as the donor. To make this kind of clone, there's a process. This is how Dolly the sheep was made, for those of you who remember poor Dolly. And the process is fairly straightforward. Most of you remember from middle school science that it takes two pieces to make a baby. You've got the egg and the sperm, two different gametes. Each one has 50% of the material, and you put them together, magic happens, and they start to divide, and we get a baby. If you take that egg and you pull out the nucleus, that's the part that has 50% of the DNA that you need to make a baby. Throw it away. And you take a body cell, a skin cell, a stem cell from the critter you want to clone, and you take that nucleus, that pack of genetic information out of that body cell. It has 100% of the information because it's the whole person. If you take a skin cell from me, it's already coded. It doesn't need anything else. So you take that nucleus and you pop it back in that empty little egg cell. And then you poke it a little bit with some electricity or some chemicals, and it starts dividing. You have to understand that what's going to grow is not a photocopy. The same DNA exactly does not mean the same life. The clone will be as close to the original as two identical twins are close to one another. They may still become totally distinct people. So that's reproductive cloning. That's what we do with sheep or cats, pigs, horses. Therapeutic cloning works the same way, but it's not designed to have something grow up to be born. Therapeutic cloning do the same process, but you're only trying to make tissues. You're growing skin. You're growing an organ. You're growing a replacement heart, maybe. So reproductive makes a whole new thing that's going to get born and start breathing. Therapeutic makes tissue to work with for some task. When we talk about cloning, you have to make sure the other person is talking about the same kind of cloning as you are. It is legal in all 50 states and most countries to do therapeutic cloning. It is not legal in all 50 states to do reproductive. So can cloning cause a Jurassic Park type of disaster? Not in the way the movie shows. No one is going to accidentally spend $1 billion, make a T-Rex, and then lose it in the church parking lot. But Jurassic Park, as I said earlier, isn't really about dinosaurs. It's about systems that treat life like a disposable product. The real disaster isn't teeth and claws, it's living beings being treated as prototypes or inventory, and personhood being something you can buy. This is more relevant today than you would like to think. In 2024, Colossal Bioscience created woolly mice as the first step in the possible de-extinction of the woolly mammoth. And if you've not seen them, Google them. They're adorable. I want 7 of them. In 2025, the same company brought back the extinct dire wolf. Wolves are big, dire wolves are bigger. Game of Thrones probably had nothing to do with this, but we'll never know. As of 4 days ago, those wolves on their own learned to hunt as a pack for the first time. Are they perfect clones? No. Are they clones at all? You can argue it. Right now, there are projects in place dedicated to bringing back the Tasmanian tiger, the passenger pigeon, and the heath hen. Future projects, including several out of Russia, include the cave lion, the cave hyena, and the Irish elk, which is many times larger than a regular elk. If you've never been near a regular elk, go look at it. It can challenge a car. Oh, and the saber-toothed tiger. This list in and of itself can be a little frightening, but I'm less worried about the mice. But in the Jurassic Park movie, the Jurassic World movie, the 50-foot-long Indominus Rex escapes, leading the dinosaur wranglers, Owen, and the manager, Masrani, to have this conversation. Owen says, "You made a genetic hybrid, released it in captivity." She's seeing all this for the first time, and she doesn't even know what she is. She will kill anything that moves. And Masrani egotistically says, "You think the animal is contemplating its own existence?" And Owen, who's a little bit of a cowboy, says she is learning where she fits in the food chain. And I'm not sure you want her to figure that out. Regardless of the simple potential for a clone to eat you, cloning is still challenging. Right now, 46 countries have formal bans on human reproductive cloning. We do not. Individual states prohibit it, but we do not have a federal formal ban. So why is it not a good idea? And I'm going to start with something really obvious. If a human clone existed, that clone would be a human being, not a backup or a replacement or a copy or at worst, a custom order. It's a person. And that triggers a flood of moral questions because a person cannot be something you order as a project. We are not kits to put together. This is about human dignity. UNESCO's Universal Declaration of the Human Genome and Human Rights says that the practice contrary to human dignity, explicitly including reproductive cloning of human beings, shall not be permitted. Even the UN General Assembly has called on states to prohibit forms of human cloning that are incompatible with human dignity and the protection of human life. Now, you folks can debate dignity all day, and we will, because it's how we flirt. But the core idea is simple. When you create a person to meet someone else's needs, you turn that person into a means and not an end. And this can happen outside of cloning, too. And when you create a person as a means, not an end, that violates something very deep in nearly every moral tradition I know. A cloned person cannot consent to being born identical to someone else. It can't consent to being born to satisfy a grieving parent or to carry on a legacy. It can't consent to being created as proof of concept, maybe that humans could have purple skin or gills. It can't consent to that. By the time it's born, all consent is over. It can't consent to being created because somebody rich wanted another me, because it sounded funny at the time. It certainly can't consent to being born as a biological treasure trove of organs and tissue to be stripped away for someone else's needs. Consent matters because we are not here to be used. No human is. And no person should have to carry the burden of being someone else's second draft. That's a cultural narrative that is cruel, absolutely cruel from the beginning. You are here because we wanted that person again. We didn't want you. We want them 2.0. Can you imagine the grieving parents of a child who died of a car crash at 15, cloning their child? The nightmare of saying, what do you mean you want to dye your hair blonde? Shirley never dyed her hair blonde. What do you mean you want a tattoo? Shirley never had a tattoo. She didn't want a tattoo. Shirley was going to be a dancer. What do you mean you want to play soccer? What do you mean your favorite flavor is strawberry? Shirley loved chocolate. You're supposed to be Shirley. And even if the parents are loving, even if they don't do that, the comparisons and the grief are always there. A child deserves to be welcomed with every act a wonderful or horrible surprise, not assigned as a sequel. But let's say the technology goes forward and somehow it gets approved as legal and the market gets involved, because the free market always gets involved. There's a nightmare scenario where cloning becomes a pipeline for exploitation. People cloned as a labor class. It's not slavery, it's staffing. People cloned as organ donors. It's not harvesting, it's simple logistics. People cloned as insurance policies. It's not replacement, it's continuity. And we'll pay you $2 million if you do fall off of that high hide. And before anyone says that sounds like science fiction, I want to point out human history is not short on systems that relabel cruelty as normal and innovative. If you can make bodies on demand with the characteristics you choose, the temptation to treat bodies as things will not be evenly distributed. It will fall hardest on the powerless. Another way that some lives are deemed disposable. Why would you pay $15 an hour when you can create clones who will work for 10? Any system that manufactures humans for use is a desecration. Cloned humans are not just choices. There's a cultural gravity there because it invites the return of eugenics thinking. We should replicate the best people. Sounds reasonable, right? We should reduce undesirable traits. We should optimize the population. How many clones do you think are going to be deaf like me? How many are going to be in a wheelchair or use a cane? How many are going to be white? And how many are going to be other colors? Even if cloning itself doesn't edit genes, it reinforces the lie that worth can be engineered and that humanity is a quality control problem, and we have been down this road. It's paved with forced sterilization and racist pseudoscience, disability erasure, and the idea that some people are mistakes. Cloning humans doesn't just risk harm. It risks renormalizing that belief that some genomes are just more valuable than others. And I want you to think about that for just 30 seconds. If human cloning ever became feasible, who would have access first? And anyone who didn't say Bezos and Elon Musk, shame on you. It wouldn't be the people with the greatest need or the greatest intelligence. It wouldn't be the leaders in morality and ethics. It would be the people with the most money. And we all know how ethical and moral they often are with that money. Wealth does what wealth does. It turns possibility into privilege. Can you imagine the brochure? Continue your legacy today. Family line assurance. Have that son you always wanted. Second chance parenthood. So the first one got squashed. Just make another one. The you deserve. And underneath it, this idea that one class is going to reproduce by love and by chance, and they're going to become an underclass. And another is going to reproduce by purchase and control. A society where the wealthy can literally replicate themselves to continue handing down wealth is not just unequal, it's spiritually deformed. But here's the big question under all of it. If we can create life, if we can stand there in a lab and create life from the beginning, does it have a soul? If you grew up in a tradition with the idea of the soul, or if you believe in the soul as an upper, higher consciousness, the extra piece outside the body, does it have a soul? Here's what we can kind of say together. If a clone is human, then a clone is part of the human family. Whatever extra makes us human isn't printed from DNA like a document. It's not something that a lab can give or receive. The soul is not a privilege for the naturally conceived. If anything, this question strengthens the ethical boundary. If a being is ensouled, sacred, you can't make it property. If there is such a thing as a soul and a clone does not have one, we've just created a monster. If there's no such thing as a soul, they're still just like us. The irony is sharp. People are more than genetics. Genomes can be copied, persons cannot. All cloning is morally weighty. Cloning might serve good, especially in terms of cloning animals. But that's not the same as go ahead and do it, it's a good idea. We can increase suffering. We can fuel commodification of designer pets and copy your favorite animal. It can distract us from the harder work of animal husbandry. Cloning is not a shortcut around responsibility, and the ethical posture here is humble questioning, humility, oversight, transparency, animal welfare standards. Profit should never be the driving motive, because spared no expense is not an ethical framework. The most honest line in all the Jurassic Park franchise. You were so busy asking if you could, you didn't stop to ask if you should. You have to remember to perfect the love along with the science. Science is powerful and wonder is holy, and discovery can be an act of reverence. But power without ethics becomes domination, and creation without compassion becomes theft. Anything we bring into existence is owed more than just our curiosity. They're owed our care, our restraint, our justice, and our reverence. And may we be the kind of people who can hold awe in one hand and humility in the other. Celebrate science without worshiping it, and protect the vulnerable from becoming raw material. The sacred is not something we can manufacture. It's something we recognize in one another. Amen. We extinguish this flame, but not our curiosity or our care. May we leave with humble minds, brave questions, and a commitment to honor life, however it comes into being. Now we're going to be very brave, and we're going to try singing Building a New Way, verses 1, 2, and 4. I know a few of you know it. How many of you know this one? Oh God, we're in trouble. Lisa's going to play heavy on the melody line. For those of you who know this one, sing out strong. 1, 2, and 4. You made it. Go in peace and go with wonder. May your wisdom be stronger than your cleverness, and your love guide every choice you make. Peace, Ashe, and may it be so.